Hello everyone, welcome to a video. This is gonna be a video explaining, or at least trying to attempt. Magic gear is just a little bit more of a complicated topic. I had to do a little bit more, and I will be actually kind of going over the guide itself, the in-game prospect. I guess for more resources, I would recommend like looking up at other guys as well as possibly in-game guide stuff. If you have questions, you can always come back to this video as always. But it is preferable for you to like get your own ideas and understanding at least how Magic Gear works. Magic Gear in itself was a little bit of a difficult topic for me, I think, personally. Not necessarily because it's difficult to understand, but it's a little bit more nuanced, at least in this game. Because gear is typically primarily obtained from one of two factors, right? So events themselves can either give you Magic Gear itself, or you're typically locked behind the gear within the exchange shop. The exchange shop actually is what typically contains the highest chance or the only chance to redeem some of the gear for certain characters. Take for example, there is the Shadow Festival for say the current character that I actually subbed on recently, Alpha. She has a peculiar piece of gear that is for her specifically, and it is actually locked behind. It's actually locked behind it is actually locked behind just kind of obtaining it once, primarily behind the but it's locked behind the someone's exchange shop. Her weapon itself, you cannot obtain it, from my understanding, anywhere else. You can re-roll it with other materials, but cannot obtain it from other areas. That is the same for everybody, other than like it's actually the same for Shadowfest, as well as I guess time limit of different characters. There are some that you can actually obtain as well from shop in itself, from the shop here. Anyway, Moonlight Path power up. In fact, no, this is a different one. This is to upgrade your character up to max rank. Get is he with that supposedly? But yeah, Ada event pack. So this is an example of stuff that contains the weapons for the characters. They give you a bunch of characters. Or they give you a bunch of different items to exchange. Blade, light, magic drops. So the magic drops themselves, there's about 4 or 5 different magic drops. If we take a look at the craft magic here, we have, let's say 4 to 5. For the primary drops that you get are B class, A class, and I think we also have like an SS magic drop. Or yeah, no, A class typically drops you like S class and above. The actual difference in quality of the gear is, let's see, is divided between SS, S, A, and B class gear. You can get the gear multiple times, however, the biggest keynote factor that you have to really look at is the infusion effect. Whenever you try and get a piece of gear, have a base default stat, you will also be able to have a substat as well as a infusion stat. If we take a look at a piece like, let's just go with a B class here. So you have the special effect stat, you have the infusion stat, and you have the regular stat. So this stats can all be increase in value or change. Typically, the change for this stat is typically gone from enhancement. This will increase dependent on really on the quality of the gear itself. A lot of these gears can be upgraded via the some of the events are not good. So infusion material, equipment, items, and items. So the majority of the ways you're able to upgrade your material, upgrade your stats, is going to be through polish. The polish, I guess, just polishes essentially this is just kind of like a wax, would be my guess. I guess theoretically. This will increase the level, or will allow you to increase the level of your magic gear, and will really kind of just showcase its true potential. A lot of these gears are really bound by their level. A lot of the way to obtain the shadow, like for example, the shadow polish is one of the polishes you can get. It is the biggest differing factor of whether you can get a piece to be great to outstanding. If you take a look, right, so I'm gonna go upgrade the character weapon for Alpha, the one I recently got. She has shades. By the way, all of these things kind of really depend on the character itself, really. So if we take a look at the gear, right, the starting value is whatever this says. This can be changed. It can be like lessened or increased. Typically, it really can only be increased. But you're gonna typically see the difference, at least in levels wise. You're gonna see an increase in stat on the first one, on the first level. Sometimes it really depends, because some of them, like, they don't increase. On the third one, typically, it actually increases the base stat of the actual piece itself. So it increases the base effect of the piece. That's what happens. The base stats and the effect. So this is the effect and this. The base stat is what actually increases the stats of your character. This won't really change at all. This, you can't reroll this. This kind of stays how it is. It increases your crit rate for the majority of the pieces up to 7% crit rate and 5% extra HP, and as well as 5% accuracy. That's for the majority of these. We'll take a look at this one, for example. The base level for this is 7% for increased damage. Maxed out is 9.05%. That, by the way, some of these effects may actually be locked behind the character being a character as well. So take a look. If we take a look, I know it might be a little bit ranting, but a lot of these components are really what kind of makes or break a character. If we take a look, so, she can use 2 of these weapons, right? Now we'll actually be upgrading one of these ones. The biggest key differencing factor in, say, like the little hexagon here, I guess it's the diamond, is these can both be equipped and the infusion effect will be at play. Some of these characters can actually use the infusion effect if it's not bound to a particular character. They can use it. The biggest factor whether they can really use the infusion effect is just depend. It's hexagonal diamond here. If a character can use it, they will probably get the infusion effect by the effect. Most of them, I think, can be use the effect from like crit rate and stuff, for example. If it's not bound by the characters, I guess like if you infusion effect is. Yeah, this is really I don't necessarily like the system here for like the gear. The biggest key factors to really truly take out of this is max the level of the weapon. Make sure you get the weapon when the character comes out. If you get the character early, you might want to quit while you're ahead, really, and just kind of get the weapon. If you're being like efficient, do that. It really depends on the situation. If you're like 3 pulls in, for sure stop summoning, because this game is not nice to you. It is really, really, truly not nice to you when you summon. Dupes are a big factor in the. They're not necessarily the end all be all, but they can make or break a character sometimes. However, if you are truly just to get there to get like the little bit slightest edge, you can get dupes later. The weapon itself is probably what will break the characters. If I, for example, did not summon on the Aurora weapon, I would not be able to have such a great effect, because I'll tell you something. 1% at the start of battle, this is an example. inflicts 20 bleed, which is equal to 1% of the skill of the attack of Aurora. What's really not necessarily game breaking isn't the 1% skill, because this is really worthless at the end for me. This is it's actually really truly important. For the case for my Aurora, she has her stuff maxed out. The way you actually bypass or get higher levels from her skill effect, right? It's actually dependent on the weapon itself. It is one of the key contributing factors if you can do the extra 10% that the game says you can do. It's not necessarily a truist for this character, but yeah, I guess it's not necessarily that bad. Yeah, demon powers. That's kind of. I'm learning more. Some of these characters have really cool effects. But yeah, the skill effects is also affected by the level of your character affection on them. It is actually the only way to get to level 10. If you want your characters to truly shine, you must have the weapon, and you really must have the weapon maxed out. If you can get as maxed out as possible, you already did good. But it is one of the biggest breaking factors if a character will be good. Another character that has like that as a really important, and I mean really truly important to it. Let's take a breath. I will try a little bit of a PvP fighter. I can't because we take a look at my defense. Currently, this is the team I'm rocking. The majority of these characters have the weapon. Some of these can use other skill effects. This is not necessarily bad for her. The problem is that I'm not necessarily sold on rerolling that effect. So I've chosen to go with a locked behind a skill, not locked behind a character, a skill effect. So she increases the entire party's attack by 9%. So that means you really truly increase your attack by about 50% since we have characters. There's 9%, 9%, 9%, 9%. The ones that really matters, like in the middle, 30% increase in damage is what kind of like you get from this weapon itself. They're all affected. They're all really like they will all typically be affected by these ones. The S, personally, from my understanding, one of the best like weapon sets that you can actually get early on are the S gear weapons. The reason being is because it will increase your damage potential by a lot compared to A class and B class gear if you're starting out. So we have B. We have 5 different types. They're all really like just like non-element based, and they're all really decent. Really, they're actually really decent if you're starting out. The problem is whenever you start getting from A to S, there's like a humongous difference, and they all start getting kind of really caught up by the element effect on them, which is not necessarily bad, but it can be really some more end game content. Have to do later. For my case, I kind of wasn't entirely sure what weapons were, but they're just kind of like really just kind of other passives. That's kind of what they end up just being an ass. In the case for most characters, you will either run into one of two factors, right? So I'll tell you one funny thing. If you all were present during the... What collab was it? So, I'm gonna check it out. Quest? Event quest. I don't know if it's here. I don't think it's here. Yeah, I don't think it's here. If you all were present during the last collab, we had a I need to give me 1 second to check. Press them. No, it's not. Yeah, if y'all were here for the Shangri-La Frontier collab, one of the biggest key factors. Let me see if I can actually find a picture. One of the biggest key factors for the Shangri-La collab for that was primarily that one of the characters one of the main characters had actually a secondary weapon that actually was really dependent on you needing both of the character slots. And while that may not be like a big definer of it, I'll tell you something crazy. The difference between somebody in PvP that does good and great is the secondary weapon slot. Because if you don't really consider that really that great, I'll tell you something scary. There are 5 weapon slots in a character. Each character can have a variety of different tools and weapons. Some of them may not be locked behind a specific character. Some of them are just generalized use. The generalized use ones are actually where you will get the slightest bit of more of a boost of a character. And that's where it kind of really like scales is what I would call it. If you have damage inflicted by 4% on every single on 5 different characters. Oh, actually, you also have a limit on the max of level 4 as well. I actually did not know that. I think some of these ones actually have like level limits, and it's dependent on the quality as well. I think this is level as well. This is 4. Yeah, so I think only SS class gear will go higher. There's also like a secondary piece of gear that you'll probably need later on in the thing. Currently, I don't have access to it because this is like really like you need to upgrade your characters to SS plus, and it's like a secondary way of getting it. These are kind of like weapons for specific characters, and are really like probably content or like extra weapons for your characters. It's actually like higher quality if is there actually higher quality weapons compared to regular weapons, since these are SS plus pieces of gear. They do actually they actually are part of the kit of the character. Some of them may not necessarily be that good for the character. I haven't quite looked at them yet, and I can't really look at them since they're kind of locked behind like the character being like max rarity essentially, as well as character shards. By the way, this is actually one of the reasons you need the potent drops. And I don't know if anybody has really collected these that much, but those are really important if you want certain characters to shine. Take a look for this one. So, Gamma, or yeah, I think it's Gamma. Yeah, Gamma only. At the start of a wave, raises its own overheal, grants ongoing allies, and raises speed if yellow element. So this is this is the ready-made handkerchief. This is the SS plus weapon. How much? I do apologize. I'm trying to take it a little slower. But for the case for Gamma, her weapon slots will be full for her. The reason being is because I already have the weapon for Gamma. She has her own weapon. She has her own special weapon, and she has her SS plus grade weapon. So she has her unique weapon and her secondary higher class unique. I believe those are actually made to kind of like increase the utility of certain characters a little bit more, and kind of like give like the like the slightest edge on them. Oh, where is it? Yeah. Training Hard Gamma. This is the specific weapon for Gamma. It raises healing boost of all allies by 10%. So this is the first Gamma you can get, the Training Hard Gamma. This is the Young Gamma, I think is what they call it, this one. So her kit will be increased by that. And I'm not entirely sure if there's like secondary effects for them. But ideally, we would say for those characters, you will truly see like the biggest difference in the characters you can actually unlock the secondary. I think I have one character that has the secondary gear slot actually on. And I think probably is going to be the biggest difference in my characters for that one. I think, let's see, is it this one? No. Just gonna showcase it. So, if your character has their primary weapon and also has their secondary weapon, I think it's NPC, Sid Kagano. Nope, also not. But if you want to, like, the main point is, right, secondary gear weapon slots are really truly game changing. If you have more than one, they boost up your attack in general, like at least 9%, if not higher, depending on the quality. But if you have a secondary gear weapon slot, you're most likely at least have a good weapon to go along with it. Let's see. Yeah. I'm trying to find an example. Who has? You? No, you. Is it the other? I think it's you. Pardon me for like taking some time on some of this. There we go. So this Sayuda may not necessarily have like the best way to like gear her up and increase her stats. However, for my yellow team, she will actually truly shine. Let's see, let's actually count. Quests. Let's actually just go versus Battle Royale. Because I have like 3 different teams, so yeah, there we go. So her primary weapon gear is already set. She actually has her weapon. She's actually like the best case scenario I have for everybody. Healing boost for all enemies is lowered by 24%, or 24%, and increases lowers 25%. Oh, so you lower the healing boost by 48%. So most allies will not be able to heal. And here's the second thing about it. I can put another one. What this means, and if you don't understand entirely what this means, oh yeah, actually here's the character. Here it is. So this character right here needs 2 weapons. This character right here needs 2 weapons. Right there, the Shangri-La green bird dude. This guy right here, ironical. This guy's so, like, I was surprised that he had like 2 weapons. I think his secondary gear slot's actually unlocked by like the first one, which is fine. It's not necessarily that hard, but it was necessary for him to have it because he has 2 weapons. If you think having like 2 weapons is good, it may end up being good. It really ends up being your choice at the end of it. But primarily for, like, take for example Gamma, who would have that, it would be idealistical, or it would be more ideal to have more than that. But if you take a look at this, right, so each of these weapons can be used. Why are they not used is the real question. The reason being is because her passive effect is actually not active. If we take a look at Alpha, this is her basically extra passive. This is her base effect. Base effect, base stats, and infusion effects. Her base effect is active, and you can tell by it being highlighted. the diamond is essentially like has two diamonds on it. So, or it has essentially like a diamond inside a diamond, essentially like a bigger diamond. That's how you can really tell. It's like one of like the little factors rather. So you can actually use the infusion effect in this one. This is also an alpha weapon. Weapon primarily for alpha. This is the New Year's Eve event alpha weapon. This is one I got for free. And she is primarily used for a different team. But let's see. So for alpha, she was actually originally one of my tanks. I actually maxed her out. It's pretty easy. But the whole point of this is her weapon. Yep, her weapon right here. Increases duration for all allies. She can use the infusion effects, but she cannot at all use the base stats on it. And if you want to increase, like, say, like, the stats on the character, right? I think, like, I'll tell you something else. Let's see, fuse magic here. Enhancement. Well, actually, upgrade one of the things I was using for her. Is this one? So you also increase your HP and effect on this. Yeah, let's see. So we're actually gonna upgrade this one a bunch of times. So the effect on this one is really good, but really what kind of ends up affecting the character overall more is the pardon me, 1 second. Alright. Sorry for everyone. I think y'all probably saw like an instance of this and just came back, but yeah, okay, so let's see. Okay, so back to the topic at hand, we're upgrading this one, right? So the majority of these items really change according to the quality, so all of them will really end up needing like a lot more of the I think this is the fine polish, I think. But they will all end up needing at least one shadow polish. Shadow wisdom polish. So you end up needing a couple, like 4 of these as well. And you end up with one of these as well. This is probably the hardest item to get. But yeah, whenever you see this item, get it. It is probably the most locked behind material to upgrade your weapons, really. I've been saving a little bit up because I haven't really needed to too much. But yeah, that's one of the base materials. There's also one, right? So let's upgrade this one. Upgrade this one. This is where a bit of your upgrade cost will end up too. But yeah, so let's start from the top, right? So we know that a lot of the materials that you need are gonna come from either events. There is also like the daily stuff you probably should be doing today. Your dailies is really where the majority of the fast stuff is gonna come from. I typically get that stuff from there. That's where you get the majority of your drops, really, as well as your weeklies. Your weeklies are actually gonna be the biggest definer of whether you'll have SS class magic gear or not for rerolling and stuff. At least your infusion gear. But yeah, you get magic drops every single day. I typically get I do about 10 draws every single day and have been doing so consistently every single day. Sometimes I reroll from like, I sometimes will use some of the SS stuff, but yeah, like this, right? So I have the weapon here for the this is actually the weapon. This is actually the weapon just for the character I was talking about. The waxing. This is for the Trax Game Hunter move. This is the waxing and the waning blade. These are actually 2 of the quintessential weapons for him, and they're actually primarily the only way to, or the weapons that I was talking about. This and this one are the secondary weapon slots. This is actually what's going to take up the weapons. They are pretty decent. But the problem they have is that and I think you unlocked it pretty early on. I think it's Zeta where you unlocked it on the first gear slot for her. The same one's here. And while it is like, it really is like game changing whenever you get the secondary weapon slot. it can truly be a little bit difficult to get, especially with like them just being primarily either on the fourth or last one, really. If the character has two weapons, you kind of are. If they don't decide to like really mess with your head, really, you'll probably end up like the same scenario. Yeah, here's an example. This one looks at the 5th weapon slot. Her case is that she's actually really get though. I think the majority of the A class heroes are really good. They can be upgraded as usually that's kind of how it is. Really, the majority of the problem that comes from these characters is their rarity shards, as well as the getting the experience points to get from this. Take for example, in my case, I've been playing the game for a couple months. You actually will not actually be seeing me really spending any of the currency that you get, the player extra points, right? Characters. The reason being, I don't have enough, quote unquote, I don't have enough levels. It's really how it is. I just don't have extra levels to spend on it. And you get more levels, and I don't know if this like ain't changed in cost or whatever every single time you buy it, or if they restock every single week or every single day. I'm not totally sure. This is also where you get your potent drops as well. But yeah, this is where you get the magic cores for your characters. If you didn't already know, this is kind of like a little bit early end game, and it's not bad. It's just really like stringent for most of them. Can't really use them. Trying to max out your S class and A class heroes. Back when it was early on, it was really probably very easy. The problem is, as like a coming back player, I've been having like, not necessarily, I just haven't been able to. Period. And since we're locked in like the stamina is kind of locked behind like dailies and stuff, it's always been like a little bit more withdrawn, right? And that's kind of where like a lot of these things kind of come into kind of give you the edge. But you can't get the edge if you can never actually get the characters. So you kind of end up just really realizing that your SS characters are probably unironically the best chance you have, and like getting better characters. I think take it for Rose, right? Rose, I think, unlocks your gear slot 5. She was one of the first characters I've gotten. I am very unlikely to get her again for a while, unless I get it from an SS class ticket and just. She's not bad, but getting a character again and again is truly rare and difficult. I have many dupes for several characters. They just aren't. What's the word I'm looking for? They just aren't really present as the main issue. Unless you're willing to spend more money on it, you kind of out of luck. Next, I think. We have Mundane Man, Sid Kagano. I'm gonna unlock that right here. But say I have it once, right? I already unlocked the first one, second one, third one, fourth. I need 3 more copies before I can even attempt to get the secondary slot, which is truly game changing. So I can kind of understand what's towards the end, but it's also like relatively hard to even use even then, because primarily you need the weapon first, and then you also need to be able to have the weapon unlocked. We have different varieties is the base. So I myself don't have every single character, every single element's weapon. I have enough that I could probably use a couple of them, enhance their gear, but it's not so much I can actually use it in like predetermined facets. So let's say. Use her? I use her, right? That was a big end of a waste to just have her upgraded. Like, I think I still use her. I was talking about Santa Claus. She's one of my. I like her outfit so much now. It's kid, pretty much. Pretty decent, as well as generally just pretty strong. Actually, like 2,000 on all enemies. She's actually pretty good. yeah, this is also like really nice. When awakened, it will give you an extra 20% on damage. Yeah, that is just 20% extra damage. But let's see. So her weapon slot is unlocked at level 4. Yep, 4 or 5. Unless you're like a odd one that has you're running like dual weaponry. And that means typically you will be actually like really just capped by like levels and materials for that stuff. So let's actually check out like the weapons, right? So we unlocked, we maxed out this character, this weapon. We got it from level 1 to 5. We use one shadow wisdom polish, and we max this out. So how exactly is the next question? So how do we use this, right? So we have this guy on a character in our PvP arena right here. And it's maxed out. We have them gear, but man, this is kind of like this infusion effect is not really what I'm looking for. And so the idea for the infusion gear is that you have different qualities of it. Whenever you want to change your infusion gear, what you have to do is have to have one of two options, right? One of two options. You can click infuse, and you have infusion materials, or we have two different ones. You have the universal infusion materials, or you have the specific weapon or the special, yeah, the infusion magic gear. The weapon or the, I'm just gonna call this a weapon. This is tank called magic gear. I'm just gonna call it a weapon. For the weapon, for these characters, so you can either use this one or you can use this one. This is the universal one you get from different events. I get this from. Let's see. So I get this from typically from Knighthood, not Knighthood. Dark Knight Duel. They typically give me 2 for just participating. This can be used on all magic gear. It's really decent. You get once in a while, every like couple of weeks. It'll be just kind of like a little bit like not lucrative with it, measured conservative with it. But if you want to use this, you can use this. And idealistically, we have a list. Have a list. The list actually tells you what the best rolls on this are. So we have a mixture of, this is what I think, platinum, I think. We have gold, and we have SS class, just SS imbues. So we have rainbow, gold, and platinum imbues. Idealistically, you can actually get like like 3 different facets of the same gear. Idealistically, you get all rainbows, but it's not really works. So you can get, so from there you can have a choice of a couple of things. So you have damage increase dealt, crit rate, and crit attack rate. I'm not entirely sure what crit rate entirely, just like overall universal, or if it's of the crit rate is just based on general attack. I'm not totally sure quite what that means. I have to double check on that. Now let's see. Because so we know what the buffs do. Some of the characters are really quite self-explanatory. We have this. It's not there. Event show, shadow base. Options. So you also have an equipment. Let's check out. Let's see if we can actually check out the. I'm not entirely sure what it does exactly. If anybody knows what like the crit rate or crit, because I'll tell you something, because I know crit rate is like the chance of you critting. The crit defense rate, I don't know what exactly that means. I don't know if this is the chance for you to like prevent a crit. What it means entirely. Evasion accuracy is the chance of you necessarily like. I think upon being inflicted with certain death ailments, this is the chance you have of not missing. I think it might be. I need to double check. Some of these effects is kind of like necessarily not self-explanatory. But I think ideally, right? You'd probably like to have like just like generally really high on these things. So I think one of my best ones that I have. Yeah, this is not necessarily that bad. This is part of the apocalypse of the Black Rose. This is increases the damage of enemies by 20%. These ones are all rainbow, I think. These are all like, yeah, see, damage limit increase. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what the best one for this case, but idealistically, just one of the battles should be like on the rainbow list. Since these are all the same, it really doesn't matter too much. But in the case for this one, right? This is not necessarily the greatest. I think they're all the same values, right? So you have the same value repeatedly. So you can have either 7.5% increased crit rate at the very maximum, a 7.5% increased damage dealt, and with the three, if they're all the same slot, if you get them 3 times, right, would be the idea. Or you can have what's 3.75 times 3, so 9%. Or 2.5%, so it's about 11%, 11.5% chance to in your crit rate. Crit attack rate, I guess, would be the correct term. Or you can have a variety of the three. Idealistically, you will get whatever chance you have. I'm not entirely sure which one would be better, but as long as you can get the rainbow ones, you're probably golden. Or at least gold. Gold is relatively nice. Getting all 3 like this is not necessarily impossible. It's just really difficult and a little bit expensive, really. And that's kind of where a couple of things will actually start showing up is whenever if you have the time and if you have like really the money, realistically, you can start investing on event quests. I don't think you can do them right now, but take a look, for example, for this. So whenever a character you have comes out with a new character roster, the idea and the goal you want to have for yourself, at least, should really be trying to farm the magic drops. Really, trying to get more drops. If you have a character you want, if you have a character that's come back, try and farm the drops. And there's even for the bracelet drops, right? So the sapphire bracelet drops. These drops are super important. If not these ones, since these are not necessarily only useful for particular characters. I would recommend farming these ones, if not getting at least 3 of the cheaper options. So these ones, getting 3 of these ones would be good. I didn't really exchange these ones because I ended up doing it for a video, but it's whatever. I think idealistically you probably wanted to try and test some gems. Just kind of how it goes. But back to the enhancing your gear. It's really important. It will define it in this. I'll actually do it right now. I'm gonna enhance infuse it once and actually choose actually. So whenever you reroll, you can either select the current imbues or you can change the imbues. However, once you consume the material, you have to both. You don't have an option. So once you do this, you have an option. This crit rate by 1%, crit rate by 1.9%. Oh no, actually, you have to select this as a main. So crit rate, attack rate by 92, damage by 5%. Crit rate is X amount. 4% crit rate. Is it better than this? This is less than this, so this can kind of die really. Crit attack rate, so the crit attack rate is kind of higher, but the crit rate is higher. This one, I'm not entirely sure if this is better. I would like to go with gold stuff, so I'm just gonna go with that. And once you infuse it, fill it up, and then you have the new infusion. The bottom stats will get maxed out, typically about the same value. Some of them may be changed according to, I think, the way that the way the characters, I guess, are made. I think primarily it's like it's dependent on like the way the character's like meant to be made. So DPSs have crit attack rate, while other characters have just general like defense. So that's like the big thing about it. So if the weapon is meant to inflict damage, it will attack rate on the character and also HP and accuracy. I think that's how they do it. If this is a defense piece, for example, the Beatrix, this is a defense set, it increases the HP as well as the crit defense rate evasion. If you pair her stuff up with defense piece, it'll increase your defense. It'll be the same. It will be this, but again, just the same stats added on to this one. So it'll be 10% HP, 14% crit defense, 6% rate of evasion. Yeah, so this one and this one would be kind of like, if you could add them together, you could actually have those two there. I think this is actually usable by all characters. The only thing that would be like really like locked behind this thing and this thing is the infusion effect as well as the base effect for this. I don't entirely know if this is accessible if it's not like the character you have, but I definitely know for sure the usable by character. This is only like essentially active when it's the same character, and this is active when it's the particular character. If it's like summer character, this is for this thing. This will only be for the summer character. For this character is the winter Christmas Beatrix. This is only for winter Beatrix. This can be used for the other Beatrix, for example. So that same weapon can be used by her and her. Both of them can use the weapon, but they don't actually get the same effect. So the weapon for Beatrix, Holiday Frolic Beatrix can actually use her own weapon, and she'll actually get the benefit of the base effect, which is the shield effect. The regular Beatrix will not actually see that. So I believe that's it for infusion and enhancing materials. I think we can actually move on to getting the actual mats, the materials for these. Let's talk a little bit more about this, because I think it's like, I think we talked about it a little bit. It's kind of like, for this thing, it's like, get 100 shards. You have to get the character up to SS++. So it will be quite a ways to actually get this guy to like maxed out, and then you need another 100 shards on top of that. As well as potent drops. These are like really like truly endgame mats, and I just hope these are truly worth it. If some people know if some of these are like not really worth it, let me know. It's hard to really know unless you really test it, and I think ideally you probably want to look more later on these when you actually unlock them or have enough materials for it. I'm like trying to get enough materials because it's going to take me at least 30 days to get more shards for these characters. So it's just kind of how it goes. But we talked a little bit about how to get magic drops, but there's also another way. If you actually upgrade your shadow base as well, you will actually see that Ada is the unexpected. Yes. Okay. Quick Google search and a restart of my game later, I actually found out what crit attack rate, and crit rate actually means. So they actually did this a little bit awkwardly. I found out. I'm seeing. So crit attack rate's actually just crit damage. That is how hard you will hit according to your crit. The crit defense rate is how likely you, I guess, just crit defense. Just base crit defense. This is like your defense against crit damage really. The chance for you to crit is this amount. It's kind of weird. That is actually genuinely really weird. I looked it up. Thank you, Reddit. Thank you, folks, for those of you that just figured it out. I kind of was kind of confused by whether this was so weird. Also, I think I might have had like a bit of an issue. So I guess it restarted. I digress. But yeah. Back to topic. So the only other place I can really think of that can actually give you magic drops other than current events, or perhaps like new. There's like a really good one that came along was the Black Rose event that I was actually talking to you about. That event was probably one of the best ones to actually get the magic drops. I think it dropped you like so much like for magic drops. I think it was quite good. It also give you like a lot of gems as well. And gems are nice, though if you want gear, that was like really, truly one of the best ones I've seen. I don't know if they're planning to redo it, because I think it was like definitely like a fun game mode, essentially like a world boss kind of game mode. And I really, really enjoyed it. But this stuff. This no, error. Quest. So event quest. So black. Oh, it's actually not here. No, okay, so the Black Rose event actually came after this event. So this is the Masquerade event. This Masquerade event actually came before the Black Rose. The Black Rose event was probably the Black Rose event actually came after this one. It was actually kind of prelude for it. It was meant to go with the bosses and main evil bad guy from season 2, Mordred, I believe. But this guy actually affected damage on those characters. It also increased the limit of max output to 999. I think some of the characters may be doing more than that. I mean, I need to double check, because I think some damage cap is higher now is the main. Let's see, so 99.99 if you max it out, 299. Yeah, okay, so max damage cap is 300,000. For her, it's going to be even higher. And if you really do just generally a lot of damage, I think in that case, it'd probably be better to just damage by 30,000, really. But yeah, yeah, let me see. So that was one of the events. Every big event typically has it. Normal, regular, like monthly events, such as the High Stream, Mine Street Valentine's, Masquerade. All of these ones, if we take a look at the shop, the exchange shop, they will all have the magic drops, and even these ones. So they have the fine magic drop and the regular magic drop. The fine magic drop is actually like a decent chance if you don't necessarily want these ones. These are all guaranteed SSs. If you want to get these out of the way, at least probably these ones, as well as the fine magic drop, regular magic drop, as well as the. This one is probably one of the ones that would probably like consider the most, because this one's probably useful all around. At least for the Sapphire, so this is blue stuff. This is useful for blue team, and it will just kind of like give you like I'm on the biggest boost if you just have a team that just doesn't have a weapon specific for the characters. That's actually where you get like probably your earliest SS gear, like weapon shop as well. But yeah, there's that, and we also have like the magic drop themselves. So there are 3 or 4 different varieties. Not in like there's no actual S-class magic gear. Not from what I've seen. A-class actually gives A and S class gear. But A-class has a chance of giving, at least from what I've seen, is a good the SS gear, which is really good. Generally, will give you a mixture of A and S gear. There's also like there's a reliquary drop, I think it's called. That'll give you SS gear for the most part, a random one. But I think it only includes the majority of the random ones. time limited random ones, but if you want a particular weapon, you probably want to unlock these ones, essentially. But yeah, so you have 4 varieties: B, A class, SS, and then you have the specific SS. So these ones are actually the ones that will unlock the specific characters' weapons. Or, like, it's just a peculiar weapon. So, regular magic drops and the fine magic drops will give you a random one of each. Not necessarily each one, but each of the qualities. As you can tell, I have the SS one, I have the A class one, and now that we're actually here in the Fuse Magic Gear tab, right? So, for the majority of people, I don't think it's really worth it, really, rerolling this ones. One of the biggest things you'll actually notice is that if you have too much maths, you can really have an endless amount, but if you just feel like, man, I'm not getting anything useful, right? What you can do is actually kind of throw a wrench in the game and essentially, hey, I'm not happy with this gear, I'd like to have an SS class gear, and so you essentially, you can trade away some materials for a piece of a higher gear, and it'll be like a random one of these will come out really decent. I think idealistically most people, in order to have like a chance of like getting like anything decent, would probably be preferable to use these ones. But I'm personally not going to use them. I haven't used them really quite yet because I would like to see if I can max some of these pieces. Plus, it hasn't really been that bad for me. Magic gear is much easier to get as it comes, but it is still fairly difficult. This one has 32 chances of rerolling because that's how many maths they give you. But this will not come through a lot. Like, it's more likely that you'll have a maximum if like this one, or maybe more, maybe 3, maybe a couple more. Some of the weapons I have may have 10 rerolls. The reasoning being, it's actually not because it's easy to get or easy to use. It's particularly because it's just luck. It's just luck with these things. A lot of the magic drops, unless you're like exchanging them primarily in your summons, which is where you'll get the Shadowfest ones, for example. There is no other way around. For these ones, you have to get the Shadowfest ones from these ones. There really is no other way for them. And I think kind of sums it up. Let me know if you have more questions. I'll probably provide more help. This is kind of a little bit longer than I expected. I will actually be maxing on weapon because I actually want to showcase it. For the majority of people, are just you max it out, do whatever it is, and you kind of move on. So classes. Yeah, for her. Typically, for my case, I'm just gonna go to ones. That increases your base stats. Upgrade it again. That increases your. This is your base stats. This is your base effect. So it increases your base effect on level 2. On level 3, it increases your base stats again. And on level 4, it going on level 5, it increases your base stats as well. Again. It'll probably be the most expensive, but the last one, coins. Since I don't have any of these, I probably will have to think. Since weapon slots are actually all really dependent on the whatchamacallit. Yeah, weapon slots are really dependent on you needing like dupes for these. It's kind of like real weird. But talking about infusions, right? So most weapons, and by most weapons is every weapon that's not a specific character weapon, will actually just have regular and repeatable imbues, or infusions rather. In the case for specific character weapons, you will actually have three different varieties of the technique level increase. These ones are very important and will actually define your max level output and max increase of max buff to your characters, and are kind of really dependent on your luck, really what it is. I'm gonna use 2 of the non-specific character weapon rerolls, infused stones, so to say, and I'm gonna use 3 and come out with a couple of things. It's 1%. So these ones can be repeatable. The technique ones cannot be repeated again. You can only really get 1. So 3, 3, 3. This is 1, 5, 1, 1, 2, 4. I think idealistically, kind of like, oh, really bad. You can also choose to not change it. I'm actually gonna do this again. There we go. And it ended up being worse. That is, yeah, no, RNG is not good. Alpha special. I guess I'll change it. I'm not really sure if this is that good, but I can change it with it. Let's go. Should check what alpha would do. Could be. It's 1%. It's not really worth it compared to like extra. I think this is 4-ish. Extra that. This is really dependent. Is the problem. As much as I like to like reroll it like 100 bajillion times, it's really difficult. Some of the weapons are not necessarily that great. I think one of the best ones to really kind of get your best bang for your buck is really just kind of these ones, because this one actually be a little bit extra. You get what you get, man. Rerolling is, I'll tell you something. Infusion rerolling is probably the hardest on these weapons. Or at least on the Shadowfast weapons, it's really rough. Especially since you don't really want to spend too much on them. I think I'm actually gonna make. I'll do it later. This has gone long enough, so I don't want to bore you guys for too long. That'll be all. Stay solid. Let me know if you have any questions, and bye bye. Oh, this will be uploaded for a different day, so I've recorded all 3 videos in a row. So if you really don't notice that, a little bit rough on me. So y'all have a good one.